Hey guys, so as you've been paying attention, we have been doing our MCU review. We had recently done Incredible Hulk. That video will be posting soon.
Yep.
We are going to continue tonight with Iron Man 2. This is where we start to begin hearing the talks of the MCU becoming more than just these standalone movies. We see some characters for the first time that we're going to see for a long time afterwards. We see some newer armors, which if you've paid attention to Iron Man throughout the MCU, he always has different suits in every movie, so we get to see a couple of those. We also get a real good look at Don Cheadle's Rhodey, and we actually get our first War Machine sighting, which is super awesome.
Great scene.
So there's a lot of good things about this movie. We'll kind of talk about it after we get done. Do you want to say anything before we watch the clip?
I remember seeing this in theater, and I just want to point out that Dad, I remember him not liking this.
Shocker.
Big one. But he was like, I feel like they really just took out the bad guy way too easy. And I was like, yeah, Dad, whatever you say. I don't know.
First time, huh?
It's just, he's a first timer, hater.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always just remember that talk on the way home. Because you always talk in the car.
Yeah.
And so, I just wanted to bring that.
But his dad is not a Marvel fan. He actually
not
thinks
even
that
superheroes in general.
he actually makes fun of us for doing this. He says, like, I don't know why you guys want to do something awful.
Yeah, he hates.
So,
But whatever, bro.
to each their own.
I guess.
So,
But you want to watch this awesome clip we have put up?
are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do it. In the clutch.
Always, dude.
We hadn't forgotten him. I was trying to scare him. I can't tell. Hey, security. Get in the car. Go.
First vacation in 2 years.
That scene just goes so hard.
So hard.
Like, also, the silver and red still flows so good compared to gold and red. I don't care what you want to say, whether you hate it or not, looks good. I'll throw it out there.
That's actually a callback to Iron Man's suit when he was in the West Coast Avengers.
Okay.
He had a silver and red.
Did it have like the same kind of design, like the?
It was
like
similar, but obviously the technology in this movie, they made it look very, very modern.
Okay.
When he had the suit that I'm talking about, this was the 80s.
Okay.
So.
One thing I do want to say is that I'm not sure the actor's name, but the guy who plays Whiplash.
Mickey Rourke.
I actually like his Whiplash. I enjoy it. I feel like he should have been more prominent, I guess you could say, or more dangerous. But I enjoyed his portrayal of Whiplash.
This is actually one of my biggest complaints about this movie.
Is Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as like the way he looks as Whiplash, I love it. I mean, he looks good as Whiplash. But I just didn't buy the character itself. Like, for me, one of my biggest complaints about Mickey Rourke, it starts at the beginning when his dad dies.
Yeah.
And he does that whole screaming scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's not believable.
That's fair.
I don't even buy it. I don't feel like his Russian accent was very good.
I could agree with that.
But I do think that he's jacked in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the aesthetic of him with the suit, especially here where he's got the whips and he looks amazing. I don't think he was a great portrayal of the character overall.
Okay.
And now maybe the one thing I'll give you is we don't actually get to see him as much.
Right.
As far as like him being the main villain. I actually think Justin Hammer is fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, he's great.
I think he's
I agree.
the best part of the villains in this movie. Because he's a little smart aleck and
he's
he's
kind
always
of running the whole show anyway.
Yeah, and he's screwing things up, but he's also screwing things up.
Yeah.
He's screwing things up for Tony, but he's also bumbling, stumbling through everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing, just watching this scene and the movie in general, is how, I don't know, the whips themselves are a little, what's the word I'm looking for? What do y'all say dad is? About whiny things. Inconsistent. Yeah. Like, the first 2 hits he lands on Tony right at the beginning of that fight, you see the cut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
So every time it hit him, it should have...
Exactly. So when he had that thing around his neck and he was wrapping himself up, like when he wrapped around his neck, that should have been it.
Well, and...
You know what I mean?
The car.
Yeah, exactly. Went straight through the car.
It cut open that whole car. Yeah.
And like...
That's true.
I don't know what old boy was thinking. If he really wanted to get at Tony, he should have went ahead and just wiped out Pepper and Happy. It could have been one swing. They were sitting in the same row.
And in the comics, Whiplash would have.
So...
There's an inconsistency.
I don't know what old boy was really thinking there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he was after him. He wanted to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He wanted to kill him before he even had the suit on.
Right.
But also with that, it also shows that Tony, without a suit, is a hero.
Yeah.
Straight up. He went out with a door panel or something.
That's actually really funny. Hits him with the door and Mickey Rourke's like,
what are you doing?
bro.
Yeah, right. Like War Machine too. We get to see War Machine in this movie because he, as Don Cheadle, and we talked about that in the first one, from Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. I would like to have seen Terrence Howard in the armor to see how it would have went down. Obviously, if you go back to the first one, we know what would happen there. But I do like Don Cheadle, and I buy him as War Machine.
Mm-hmm. I do think he does a better job of kind of having that smart aleck best friend that Rhodey is. And when, after everything goes down where Tony's literally like basically trying to get rid of everything he has because he still thinks he's dying from the plutonium, in his neck. And when War Machine finally shows up to the Stark Expo and he's got the full like guns and everything, I mean, that's so comic accurate, it's scary how good they made the War Machine look. So I'm with you, like that was a really good part. Obviously, we get to finally see ScarJo as Natasha, and
dude, she kills it in this one. For sure, we get her for like 10 minutes max.
But most of the movie, she's looking amazing, being an assistant, and then like you find out that she's been playing Tony Stark and everyone while she's working for Nick Fury.
Whole time.
One of my favorite parts is when he's like, Tony's talking and she just jabs the thing in his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, like one of the most iconic scenes from this movie is when Happy and Natasha are trying to stop Vanko, and they go to the facility where they had Vanko being held, and they have all the guards, and Happy's fighting this one guy throughout the whole scene, and Natasha is just wrecking stuff. And you get the classic, from the Black Widow movie, you're such a poser.
You do this.
You're such a poser. But she does the famous pose, and Happy finally beats the guy, and he turns around, he's like, I got him! And he looks over, and there's body, dude hanging, choking on a string. It's amazing.
It's a great scene, 100%. What else can I say great about this movie before we go into the bad?
I think the whole thing with his dad was cool. Because if you remember, later on, we talk about how, like, Tony always had a weird relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
And it was in this movie where he starts to realize that some of this was his own perceptions and that his dad was trying to do things to prepare him for the future, because Howard Stark is a futurist. So is Tony. Tony's a futurist. So they're always making plans for the future. And the whole thing where Tony's trying to figure out how he stops himself from literally dying, and his dad had the idea the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says, he's like, even dead, Dad's still taking me to school.
Even dead, I'm the hero. If you don't know what that is, you need to catch up real quick.
You got a lot to do. There is homework.
Edith, I guess you could say.
And a quiz.
But, now you said earlier that this is one of your lower movies.
Yes.
And I can understand why, and I agree with you on the fact that this is the weakest of the Iron Man trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I agree with that statement. Obviously, it'd be 1, 3, 2 for me.
For sure.
Is
100% agree, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What makes this, to you, less than 3?
Mickey Rourke as Whiplash, I just didn't buy him. I don't know, there was some parts of the movie that just felt unnecessary.
Okay.
Too, like the Stark Expo scenes, some of those were just kind of drawn out.
Okay.
Like, obviously, you needed that backdrop for Justin Hammer manipulating everything with Vanko, and then, like, Vanko taking over the drones.
Mm.
And the whole thing with Tony's neck and, him dying from the poisoning, I get that. But how did nobody but Rhodey see that he had this giant digital crossword puzzle on the side of his neck?
Yeah, true.
Pepper is supposed to pay attention to everything.
She should have known. Happy should have known.
Yeah. Natasha, who literally is there as undercover, and Rhodey were the only two who knew about it.
True that.
That's my thing, is like...
Let's see, yeah.
There was some inconsistency stuff there. This isn't a terrible movie overall.
Yeah.
But when we're comparing it to the movies of the MCU, there's just a lot of movies that have more impact either from the storyline perspective or that are just genuinely better movies. So it's lower for me for that reason.
Okay.
So
That's
what about for you? Where would you put it? Now, without the ranking, just like...
It's like I said, it's less than the third, but it is kind of in the middle area. Because there are 42, right? Correct?
Yeah.
42. This is, in the middle area. I went ahead last time, because in Jeffro he did all of his.
Yep, I have my list completely from 1 to 42.
Did his whole list. The other day I had a bunch of time on my hand for no reason. I was like, might as well do the same thing.
Yep.
So I did. So everything is thought out and ready to go now, so I can firmly say that this is in the middle. What else good? I feel like there's just something that I'm really missing that I wanted to talk about this movie.
I love that we start to see some of the entrances where it's always AC/DC playing.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, I love Led Zeppelin.
No Way Home, I hear you. That's a good callback. But at the beginning of this, it plays Shoot to Thrill. And if you pay attention in Avengers, when he first appears as Iron Man to help, before he shows up, what do you hear playing? Shoot to Thrill.
Okay.
So,
These little callbacks there.
yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, I think the Avengers, like, you really start to hear about the Avengers for the first time.
That's true.
Aside from when Tony Stark, or when Fury says, there's an idea, you know, with, Iron Man 2, he literally is talking about bringing Tony into the Avengers initiative and then turns him down because Tony Stark can't be trusted.
And that's a fair reason, I feel, because throughout this one, he's still pretty self-absorbed with himself.
He's still, I'm Iron Man. Like, the whole scene with Congress is a perfect example. Like, listen, we know Stearns is obviously a jerk, and we find out later that he's actually working for Hydra, so forget that dude. But Tony's response to that and how he handles things is the exact thing that Tony brings a lot of the stuff that happens on himself.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts of that scene too is where, like, he's trying to get Rhodey to manipulate his report, and then Tony says, I gotta have it, and then he proves that it's Justin Hammer, and then he says, for the rest of the world, 5 years. For Hammer Industries, 20s. Like,
oh my god. Yeah, no, I agree. We really don't see a lot of real less self-absorbed for a good minute for Tony.
especially until Avengers.
Also, the final fight with all the robots and whatnot coming in from Hammer, and it's Rhodey and him tag teaming. I do love that scene.
Me too.
I feel like it's really well. Like, obviously, it's a lot of that is CGI.
Yeah.
This is 2010. I feel like there's a lot of really good CGI.
Oh yeah.
For that
they did
scene.
a good job with that movie.
I don't know. I've really like, if I think of this, I think of this suit up scene because it's gangster as fuck. But with that being said, that final battle scene too.
Well, and there's another thing that I know you probably know this, but a lot of people who haven't really like dug deep, there's actually a theory during that scene. There's a part where Tony's fighting some of the robots, and he sees a kid standing there with an Iron Man mask on, and he flies down to help him, and the kid stands there and tries to fight the robot even though he can't do anything, and Tony takes him out and he says, "Nice job, kid." There is a lot of theories, and I think Kevin Feige actually confirmed it, that that's supposed to be a young Peter Parker.
Wonder how that plays in the future.
I don't think Tony and Peter have any interactions in the MCU, though, right? Not at all.
No.
They're like enemies.
Definitely haters.
Yeah.
He hates Iron Man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I remember.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge. Knock on wood. Who did the rank first last time? Was it you?
Well, because we had Young Buck with us last time.
That is true.
So
But I'm trying to think out of me and you. What do you give this movie 1 to 10? A standalone movie. What do you give this?
7.5.
Okay.
So there's so many things about this movie that you've gotta like love it just because of it. The racetrack scene, the final scene at the Stark Expo, Natasha making her first appearance, Don Cheadle's Rhodey, and you getting to see the War Machine, the connections with Tony and his father, and Tony finally realizing that his father did make a lot of things and did care about him, but he had to be careful. Like, he can just put it all out there in the open.
Yeah.
We start to really see the formation of the Avengers and the idea that this is going to be bigger than just these standalone movies. And the concept of Tony realizing that he can't do everything on his own, even though he has the Iron Man suit and he's a, genius billionaire philanthropist.
Playboy.
How did I say philanthropist? Wow. Good call. I act like a rookie. Good job. So, there are a lot of good things about this movie, but Justin Hammer, I don't think the guy who plays Justin Hammer gets enough credit for his portrayal.
He's definitely hateable, for sure.
Yeah, you hate him, but he's funny as heck.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You want to watch him screw up, but it's so funny to watch him do it. Now, this is going to be a little off topic, but I don't know if you know this. You've seen the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
You know the kid that's leading all the kids into the Foot Clan's thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, anything you want, do it. And then the kid's like, you got any cigarettes? And he says, regular or menthol. That's him.
Really?
That's the actor that plays Justin.
Dude. That's pretty cool, actually.
So there's a lot of cool things. I think Mickey Rourke's portrayal of Vanko, specifically, how he speaks, that uninspiring scene when his dad dies, I just don't buy that.
Yeah, that scene could have been left out. I agree.
Some of the Stark Expo stuff felt like a little drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that nobody noticed Tony's literal digital crossword growing on his neck and how he was making a lot of reckless decisions. I struggle to believe that Pepper and Happy specifically did not pick up on that. Mm-hmm. The two people who claimed to know him better than anyone, and they didn't see it.
Yeah.
So it's a good movie. It's not a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely above average, but in the MCU, it's A.
That's fair.
So for me, 7.5 on that ranking. What about for you?
So I give this movie half below you. I give this a 7.
7.
One thing, as you were kind of talking there, do you think that this movie would have been better after Avengers, or do you think it works better before?
I don't know that it could have done better after Avengers, because there's some things that happen here that...
Obviously, we get Romanoff.
We get
more Avengers talk, all that, I get it.
Well, we also get to see that there's more to Pepper and Tony than just the work relationship. Because there's a little bit of a hint of a flirtation in the first one.
Yeah.
But you start to see that Pepper and Tony genuinely care for each other. And at the end, they kiss.
Yeah.
So without that, there's no context as, they go from kind of flirting, but they're still boss and secretary, to them being openly in a relationship in Avengers.
That's fair. Yeah.
The idea that they're going to build a tower, for Avengers Tower, we don't find out how Tony realizes how to harness the power of the arc reactor, which starts with him fixing the issue in his heart. So I think that's another one too.
Okay. So you think it works better before Avengers?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Now, Iron Man 3, I think, obviously...
Definitely is better after Avengers.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. I was just curious if you had a different take on that.
What about you? Do you?
No, I agree. I think it had to come before to build more of what Tony can do and how advanced he has come. Because if you would have watched Iron Man 1, there was no Iron Man 2, to Avengers...
Yep.
The technology advancements, the tower, where Pepper and him are now, like you said,
and
none of it really would have worked.
And I'm sad that we talked about all this, and I meant to talk about this during that scene. That whole part when they're on the racetrack and Tony has the thing, you start to see some of the cool ways Tony has his suits just come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. He literally just puts his foot in and it's just shh, and he attaches it.
Dude, let's talk about that real quick. What was old boy doing that whole time? What was Whiplash doing?
I hate when they do that.
Why would you let him?
This dude has been stopping them from getting the case. He's cut the car in half, almost cut Happy and Pepper in half 3 different times. But now all of a sudden you got to have the oh no, we got to let him have the moment where he puts the suit on because we got to make this fair all of a sudden.
Real. Why did he do that? Yeah. I meant to talk about that right at the end of that.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's my fault.
It's like it's such a cool moment getting to see the armor come on.
Yeah.
But
Think about it legit.
like if you're talking as a villain, why wouldn't you use that time to press your attack?
Yeah, honestly.
Especially
his arms are exposed. Take that shit off.
And let's be real, we already talked about this. We saw that one swipe of those cut the armor. If he had just went
Done.
his arm's gone.
He went through a car.
His arm, no more arm.
Done. And there's nothing he would have done.
No.
I don't know what Whiplash was doing, but
Then he would have been Iron Ma.
You know what? Maybe I take it back. Maybe he was a stupid Whiplash.
I told you.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Listen,
I'm sorry. My fault.
I
thought
think
he was
he
kind of a neat
looked
villain.
cool. He looked
Yeah.
cool. He did look cool. He had the look, but his portrayal
Yeah,
was not great, and there are things about this movie that don't make sense.
I agree.
Like, and who in their right minds be like, okay, this is a professional race car
get that guy in there.
racing like contest, and Tony Stark, a billionaire who's never raced a day in his life, is all of a sudden like getting in a race car because he owns it.
Yeah. No, that
Bruh.
would not happen. No.
Bruh.
I don't care how rich you are, man. Also, those guys don't want to get in there. They just want to watch it, go around in circles. Hot take, NASCAR sucks. Anyway.
I can already tell you what's going to happen. They turn left. Crazy.
How did you call that?
I don't know.
You are insane.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to Stop. We can't talk about this.
We're going to make a bunch of people mad.
Dude, stop. Anyway, so here's my ranking of where I put this. Like I said, it's like middle. Because as I was doing my ranking, I realized that there's a lot of movies that I'm just like, know what I'm saying?
That you don't care about as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe if watching them again with like a more open mind perspective, it could change. That whole list could change.
Yeah.
When I go watch Thor again, maybe I don't like it again. Maybe I do like it more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard telling. But this movie stands at 21.
21.
Literally mid.
That's honestly,
Pretty high.
that's
I know.
way higher than mine.
I'm sure it is.
Cause
But now that we've talked about it, I'd actually drop it lower. But because it's where it is, it's where it is.
so for me, this movie's at 36.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of the movies that are below it are movies that are going to come later that I just cannot deal with, like for different reasons.
Sure.
I actually have Thor just right above it. And Thor is one of those, there are parts of it that I love. And obviously, we have to have Thor. So it's the same thing with Iron Man 2. While it's low on the overall ranking for the MCU, this movie has a huge impact in the overall MCU universe because we start to see how Tony's working on different suits. We see that he's harnessed the ability for the arc reactor, which leads to all of the technological stuff he's starting to do in Avengers. You know, Romanoff.
Thor, we get Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like all that setup.
The beginning of Tony and Pepper's actual relationship.
Another thing to throw in, we see here, he gets wrapped up in the electricity, and he kind of sees that on the screen that it's like kind of amping his power.
Yeah. But he doesn't know how to use it.
Doesn't know how to use it. Guess what he learns in Avengers?
Oh, yeah.
Guess we'll talk about that when we get there. You don't know. You don't know. Sorry about your loss.
And that is one of the best parts is when Tony, like, is fighting Thor, and he's having a hard time fighting Thor, and then Thor shoots the lightning at him, and he's like, okay.
My turn.
Yeah. Does mother not know it? Thou wearest thy drapes.
Dude, that movie's so good. I can't wait to talk about
Good.
Avengers. I cannot wait to talk about it.
That's actually like a top
That is a good
top movie of all time.
I want to say it's in my high ones.
It's in my top 10.
I can't remember.
It's for sure top 10.
So Iron Man 2 didn't do that great.
But
keep in mind that this movie is almost needed before the Avengers.
And again, remember, the standalone ranking versus the MCU ranking are very different for obvious reasons. Because if we were talking about how we rank it overall, we gave it an above average score. But if you were looking at the MCU ranking, it looks like it's
I actually match you. I got Thor one above this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But see, you have some movies that
Hey, don't be
are
looking.
lower.
Don't be
that
looking.
I can't even with you right now.
What one? Which one? Don't say it. Just point to it real quick. Which one?
Oh wait, no, never mind. Okay, I thought that you had that in order of how you ranked it, and I saw Winter Soldier below, and I was like, oh my gosh.
No, dude.
Okay.
Stop tripping. That movie's goated.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Stop playing. I can't wait to talk about that one too. Winter Soldier is a good movie.
We could go on tangents.
Dude. Also, guys, so if you are people that are out there that are watching this and you are actually invested into our Marvel Mondays, we are thinking of doing a sort of podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know down there in the comments where y'all be giving us your ideas, all that.
Mm-hmm.
What you would think if Cousin Jeffro and I, and maybe a couple other people, hopped on here and just talked about Marvel in a whole.
Not just the MCU.
In a whole.
Honestly,
Comics,
we could even talk superheroes.
Just in general.
Yeah.
And like it wouldn't just be that. Like that, we would do other things.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think, because we are seriously considering it, and if you guys think that you would be interested, it would be something that we would do.
And we definitely want ideas, because I don't know if you pay attention to a lot of our videos. We're always saying, even if they're negative comments, we read them.
Yeah.
Now, if you are being a jerk, we're not gonna.
Most of the time, Dad's gonna get you back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
He likes bickering with y'all.
And I'm gonna turn it into like self-deprecation, where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna own it then. Call me Little Debbie. I don't care.
Yeah.
Sucker.
Sucker.
But
Booker T.
for sure, we definitely want your opinions. Especially if you have ideas about stuff that we could talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just like we do with the music. A lot of the stuff we do with music reactions are based on what people have requested.
Yeah.
And it's kind of branched from there. So here, we're willing to talk about things that you guys bring up, but we can't do it on a reaction channel. That's not going to work. We need to be able to actually
right, and like
do
if
research
we were
and
talking
talk about
the entirety MCU, that'd be a whole episode. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, the entirety of the MCU. We're talking.
Like it probably could be a two-parter. Like we could go into so much detail and about everything.
We could do it in phases, and we could still have
real shit.
We could still have 2 to 3 hour conversations. Period.
Right.
We're talking about this one movie, and I guarantee you that this is a lengthy one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like
Marvel Mondays, you're getting almost a dumbed down version of where we could go, where we could talk.
And this is us just off the cuff for the most part, aside from knowing where our lists are and obviously our common knowledge of it. This is us not looking at phones the whole time.
Right.
Fact checking, having someone in the corner. If we did a podcast, we'd come prepared.
Pull it out. All that
we would
stuff.
have a computer at our disposal to look that stuff up while we were talking.
Yeah.
So.
And like.
We want feedback. We want to make this grow. We're doing this for fun, but we love talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, we make this like what we do all the time and get you guys involved and be able to have callers and emails and have responses. So
if you'd like to see us talk about a whole bunch of different things, including the MCU and in the whole, all of it, let us know.
And like we said, if we can make it, we could talk Marvel, DC, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars.
All of it. All the fandoms.
Yeah. All the different stuff. Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones.
That's a big one.
Harry Potter, The Witcher.
And like we were, not necessarily just TV. We could go into farther depth about problems in the world. We're staying away from political stance.
Because people take it too far.
Way too far.
And we can have a conversation and disagree. But we are not going to do the whole...
ejecting each other out of our lives.
Yeah. Because that's absolutely ridiculous. And if you can't listen to a different perspective without throwing a tantrum like a child, then...
probably should be
sent
to prison.
And we're not going to deal with you.
Yeah.
We're not. If you want to have a disagreement, absolutely, we can talk about it.
Right.
If you want to be a child, you're going to get treated like a child and put in timeout. Only our timeout is we ain't speaking to you again.
Yeah.
So, hope you guys like it.
It's going to be happening necessarily probably soon. So, but if there are things that you want us to talk about, let us know.
And we're all ears.
All ears. Real, because we want topics. We want to talk.
And just remember, next, we go to Asgard. Another!